If you like my videos and you want such more videos, then do like, share and consider subscribing. For the notification, do not forget to tap the notification icon. Thank you. Good morning students, welcome to today's class. Let's move towards the topic which we discussed in the last class, that was about petroleum. If you remember, in our last class we discussed that how petroleum is formed and how it is drilled out of the earth. Now this petroleum cannot be used in this form because it is crude and it is mixture of many components. So it has to be refined first, means it has to undergo a process called fractional distillation to get the products which is mixed inside this crude oil. So how it is done, we are going to discuss in today's class. So today's class we are going to start with the topic called fractional distillation. So basically, what is fractional distillation? In our previous class, I have already discussed that what is distillation. Distillation is a process by which heating and cooling of a liquid is done. So first it is heated to a certain temperature and then it is condensed and cooled back. Now what is happening in the case of fractional distillation? This is a different type of distillation where a column is used or a tower is used with different fractions. So that tower is called fractionating column and therefore it is called as fractional distillation. So what is the process of fractional distillation? Fractional distillation is a process of separation of the components present in a miscible mixture. But one thing is very important, that the boiling point of each component should not be less than 25 degrees Celsius. So this is how the fractional distillation is done. Now what is in this case of fractional distillation? That I'm going to write the point that the boiling point of components should not be less than 25 degrees Celsius. So this is very important, and fractional distillation is done in fractionating column or tower. Why it is done in fractionating column or tower and why it is not done in a simple apparatus? Because there are various components and in these tower they are fraction made. So these components get into the fraction according to the boiling point, gets cooled down and then they are separated according to the temperature. So we get different components through the fractional distillation. Now the crude oil, which is called petroleum, which is black, dark, viscous liquid, is having lots of component in its mixture. So it has to be separated so that we can use it for our general use. For example, some of the components mixed into the petroleum is gasoline, which we call as kerosene, petrol, diesel, asphalt, paraffin wax, lubricating oil. So there are lots of things mixed into it. So it need to be separated by the process called fractional distillation, and the same process in a general term is called as refining. And it is done in refinery. So the oil drills are connected to the refineries in which the petroleum is refined. So let's understand the process of fractional distillation, and I'm going to draw the fractionating column also, or the fractionating tower, by which we can understand that which component is separated at which temperature. Let's draw that. It is given into your textbook also, so that is a very important diagram. Let's see what are the different components and how it gets separated in the fractionating tower or the fractionating column. So here I am going to draw the diagram. So this is the basic diagram of the fractionating tower. Let's see at which column we are getting which component. So the first we will find petroleum, gas up to 25 degrees Celsius. The next one will get petroleum, that is again a hydrocarbon. Then we get gasoline. Gasoline is also called as petrol. Then kerosene oil, diesel oil. Let's see the temperature at which they are separated. We have seen that it is 25 degrees Celsius. Petroleum get at 30 to 70 degrees Celsius. So as I've already discussed in our previous topic that the difference of the temperature should not be less than 25 degrees Celsius. So you can see the different temperature. So here it is 80 to 170 degrees Celsius. Here we get 170 to 250 degrees Celsius and 250 degrees Celsius to 350 degrees Celsius. Means at separate temperature the components get separated. So what is happening when we are subjecting the petroleum, that is crude oil, to the fractionating column, the different temperature at which this fractionating towers or the column is there, the different product get evaporated and they get separated through this outlets. So they are heating up, forming into vapors, and at their temperature their boiling point is, they get separated and they get collected through these outlets. For example, the petroleum gas is having boiling point less than 25 degrees Celsius, so it is separating at the top of the fractionating column, followed by the other components like petroleum, which is either gasoline or petrol, what we call as kerosene, diesel oil. There are many such products which get separated one by one as the heat according to the boiling points. So here I have mentioned the products also and the boiling point also. There are several other. Let me write that. Fuel oil. And last, this is residue, which includes paraffin wax. This is the furnace. In which petroleum is subjected. And this is fractionating. So what is happening? The petroleum, which is crude oil, which we have drilled out of the earth, is subjected to this pipe into the furnace, which is having 400 degrees Celsius temperature, is subjected towards the fractionating column. Now lots of the things are mixed into the petroleum, means there are lots of components which is mixed into the petroleum, but it is a miscible mixture. Means miscible means which can dissolve easily. So all the components are miscible together, so we cannot separate it by any other process rather than only fractional distillation, only because their boiling points are different. And how much should be the difference? Not less than 25 degrees Celsius. So if a liquid is having lots of component mixed into it and the boiling point is not less than 25 degrees Celsius of the components, then the process which can be used to separate this mixture is fractional distillation. This process is not only used in air, but it is also used in many other separation, which we are going to discuss in our class 9. So what is happening in this case? The petroleum, which is crude oil, is subjected into the furnace and then into the fractionating tower. Now since every component is having different boiling point, therefore they get heat. So once the temperature is received by them, they start getting vaporized at their boiling point and they start getting separated into the separate fraction For example, petroleum which is having less than 25 degrees Celsius gets separated first, followed by various other components. So this is a kind of a mixture which is separated one by the fractional distillation. Now many of these components you may have definitely heard. For example, gasoline, which is petrol, kerosene, diesel oil, fuel oil, and paraffin wax also. These are all the components which are used by us in our day-to-day life. For example, petrol and diesel are the fuels which we use in our vehicles. Kerosene is also used. Then paraffin wax is used to make cosmetics and all. So let's discuss about the uses of these components one by one. So after learning about the fractional distillation of petroleum, let's see what are the uses of the different products that come out of the fractional distillation of petroleum. As you remember, the first product was petroleum gas, which came out of the fractionating tower. Now this petroleum gas is liquefied and it forms into liquefied petroleum gas or LPG. So first product is petroleum gas, which is liquefied. Now you will learn in your class 9 that how the gases are liquefied. But let me tell you, the gases are liquefied by increasing pressure and decreasing temperature. So once it is liquefied, it forms into LPG, the most common gas used for cooking purposes. Now I think every household has a LPG stove and it is one of the most common gas used for. It is the gas which is used for the cooking purposes. So the liquefied petroleum gas is used for cooking purposes. Apart from that, petroleum gas is also used for making petrochemicals. So what is petrochemicals? Petrochemicals means petro means related to petroleum and chemicals is the normal chemicals. So organic compounds which is formed through these different products is called petrochemicals. Now what is other use of petroleum gas? Apart from used as cooking gas, and in petrochemicals it is also used for as a fuel in vehicles. Now let's talk about the next product, that is petrol or gasoline. Both of the terms are used for this. Now petrol or gasoline is one of the highly inflammable liquid fuel. This is used in vehicles. As you know that many of the vehicles use petrol as a fuel and this fuel is used very commonly. Now what about the other uses of petrol? You know that as a fuel it is used in vehicles, but what about the other uses? If you remember that whenever you give your clothes for dry cleaning purposes, petrol is used over there. So it is also used in fuels in aircraft and for dry cleaning purposes as a solvent. So the uses of petrol is as a fuel in vehicles and also as a solvent in dry cleaning. Now let's move to the next product of the fractional distillation. So the next product of the fractional distillation is kerosene. Kerosene is also a very high inflammable liquid fuel and it is used in lighting purposes. If we move back to a little older times when light was or electricity was not available all around the places, in those places kerosene used to be used as a lighting purposes in the lamps. So the main use of kerosene is that it is used for lighting purpose. Now very high quality type of kerosene is used in aircraft as aircraft fuel. High quality kerosene. Not all kerosene is used over here, but a high quality kerosene is used as an aircraft fuel. The fourth one is diesel oil. Now these are some of the terms which you have seen, listened in your daily life: kerosene, petrol, diesel. Diesel is also a highly inflammable liquid fuel which is used in the vehicles. Now as you know that in recent times diesel is preferred over petrol for many of the reasons. For example, for the pollution reason. Diesel does not produce that much of pollution as the petrol produces. So diesel is preferred and it is act as a fuel in vehicles. What about other uses? It is used in generator also. So the next product of the fractional distillation is fuel oil. This oil is used in blast furnaces and it don't leave any residue. The next product is lubricating oil. Now what is lubricating? Now lubricating is used to reduce the friction. Now whenever you know that vehicles run, there is a kind of friction produced. So to reduce the friction of the machine, lubricating oil is used as a lubricant which reduces the friction in the vehicle. So lubricating oil is used as a lubricant to reduce friction. So it is used to reduce friction, especially in the industry where there are heavy machinery used. Then lubricating oil comes in very handy to reduce the friction. Otherwise machine will get spoiled very easily. Now let's move to the next product, that is paraffin wax. Now we'll discuss about paraffin wax. Paraffin wax is used for making many things. Now what are those many things? Like candles, wax papers, cosmetics and many toiletries. So it forms the base for many items such that candles, wax papers, lipsticks, cosmetics and many other toiletries. The next one is asphalt. Asphalt is a dark black color substance which does not vaporize. So it is used for roofing and for making the surfaces. To make you may have seen this to be used in making the roads to make it solid and even. Now the next product, which is almost the last product of the fractional distillation of petroleum, is the petrochemicals. As we have already discussed, the petrochemicals are those chemicals which are made from the products of petroleum or the crude oil. These are many products. Let's discuss about them. Now the last product of the fractional distillation of petroleum is petrochemicals. Now by the term only you can understand that these are the chemicals or the organic compounds which are formed after the distillation of petroleum. So what are the compounds which are included into it? Like ethyl alcohol, methyl alcohol, benzene, all are included into the petrochemicals. And what is the uses of petrochemicals? Well, there are lots of uses of petrochemicals. For example, petrochemicals are used to make synthetic fibers, plastics, dyes, detergents, paints, solar panels, cosmetics, and many more. The list is very big. So these are the compounds which are found after the process of fractional distillation of petroleum. Now, as we have seen the number of products that comes out after the fractional distillation and their uses. So here you can see how coal and petroleum is so much useful to us. Now, coal and petroleum don't act as only fuel, but it is forming the base of our life, what we are living these days. Almost everything is coming from the coal and petroleum acting as a raw resource. Now, everything that is coming into our life or it is forming our life is coming from the coal and petroleum. But is coal and petroleum good for us, or it is having a disadvantage? Let's ponder on these points also. What are the advantages and disadvantages of coal and petroleum? Let's first glance on the advantages of coal and petroleum. Advantages. Now, from the time coal and petroleum has been discovered, they have formed the base of our energy needs because they are convenient to use and easily available. Their resources were easily available to us and they were easily transported or easily can be stored into the containers. What comes into all the points related to the good fuel? If you remember in the chapter combustion and fuel, we discussed that the fuel should be very easy to transport, easy to store, and it should have a good calorific value. All these points were related to coal and petroleum, making them the backbone of our energy needs. Now, these are forming therefore the traditional sources of energy or conventional sources of energy because of their easily availability and since they are inflammable. So, they are very useful. So, the main point of advantages is that they are easily available, good calorific value, easy to transport and store. Now, after the fractional distillation of petroleum and the destructive distillation of coal, we have seen there are some products which are formed after this process. These products are also very good as a fuel. For example, petroleum gas, LPG, which is called as LPG once it is liquefied. This LPG is much better fuel because it is not only easy to transport or easy to store, but it is also one of those fuel which does not leave any residue while burning or does not produce smoke. So it has having much more advantage compared to the traditional coal and petroleum because it is a non-polluting gas and it undergoes complete combustion. So advantages of coal and petroleum we have seen. Now let's look into the disadvantages of coal and petroleum. That even after all these good things, even after forming the backbone of our energy needs, there are a lot of disadvantages which why we are backing off from these traditional sources of energy and moving towards the alternative sources of energy. Let's look into these disadvantages. There are some disadvantages related to coal and petroleum. That's why we are moving towards to alternate sources of energy or unconventional sources of energy. Let's see what are these disadvantages. The first disadvantage is that the resources are limited. Now, one of the biggest disadvantage of coal and petroleum is that their resources are limited. Now, we know that these resources are non-renewable resources of resources. Means they are one of those resources which will take millions of years to form. So, if we are using them more than their formation, then there will come a time when there are no resources left. And we are actually doing that. we are exploiting these resources. We have exploited it to such extent that we don't have more than 50 or 100 years left with these resources. And you know that coal and petroleum, as again I'm repeating this line, that coal and petroleum is the backbone of our energy needs, means we are relying more than enough on these resources. So what will happen if these resources are exhausted, if they are finished? What we will do after that? That's why we are moving towards the unconventional sources of energy, such as solar energy, wind energy, water energy, geothermal energy, because of their resources are limited. Now, not only this is one of the disadvantage of the coal and petroleum, but it is very polluting resource. Means coal and petroleum produce so much of smoke that from the time they are being used, they are creating pollution. And this pollution is affecting everyone from humans to plants, animals, or living organism all around the world. So the next disadvantage is that these are polluting the nature. Now both coal and petroleum has carbon into it. So whenever carbon is undergoing the complete combustion, means it is burning in the presence of oxygen, it is producing carbon dioxide. Now the more fuel you are using, more carbon dioxide is used. Now what is the role of carbon dioxide? Yes, if you remember, we have studied that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, means it is trapping the energy of sun. It means it is warming up our earth. So more carbon dioxide means more warming of the earth. It is going to lead to global warming. So global warming is again due to the excessive use of coal and petroleum. I'm writing the points below this only. It is increasing global warming. Now we have discussed enough about global warming in our previous classes, so I am not going to discuss it here, that what is global warming, what are the causes of global warming, and what are the consequences of global warming. In a small summary, I would like to tell you that global warming is initiated and increased only by the excessive use of coal and petroleum or anything which is including carbon into it. Now what are the next disadvantage of it as a polluters? Second is that there are sulfur and nitrogen present in coal, especially traces of sulfur and nitrogen is present in coal. So whenever sulfur and nitrogen is burning in presence of oxygen, it is producing sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. Now this sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, once inhaled, will cause lot of respiratory problem, and if it goes up in the atmosphere, it will mix with the rainwater and will come down as acid rain. So another disadvantage is that it may cause acid rain. So this is not only that it is only causing global warming, it is causing many health related problems if it is inhaled in a larger amount. Respiratory problems. So there are disadvantages of coal and petroleum along with the advantages. It's our concise that whether we should use coal and petroleum more or other resources more. We'll discuss about this topic at the end of the chapter also. Here I want to summarize with the advantage and disadvantage that coal and petroleum comes with both of these things, means advantages and disadvantages. So we should use it according to our concise into a limited amount, and we should move more towards the unconventional sources of energy so that there will be less destruction to the